Hi, welcome to this week's episode. This week we're going to focus on reviewing some trades that happened over the past couple of days. Sorry for the delay. It's hard when you got a baby and he likes to scream a lot. But without further ado, let's get into this week's content. So, starting us off was this trade involving myself and Bankhead. I give away Josh Jacobs in a second. A second I really didn't want to do. Um, but he kind of gave me no choice. He was kind of putting my heels to the fire here. Uh, and I ended up getting back Slayton, the first overall pick, which I had to trade away earlier this year. My fourth and a third. So I love Slayton. I know Bankhead loves Slayton. I do think he has a ability to jump up higher, but I had to take, this is the reason I even did this trade. In my opinion, to control the draft, I had to take this first round pick away from Bankhead. If I didn't, he could take CD Lamb, which I'm considering taking with third overall, and that just kind of screwed up my draft. It limited my opportunities, and I didn't like that. I didn't like how it felt. I love Jacobs, but I feel like with my first two backs I'm taking, I'm going to get equal or maybe even an improvement over Jacobs. So it's okay with me doing it, and now it gives me the option to get a potential 10-year, 12-year receiver along with Darius Slayton. So now my receiver depth is, even bigger, and I still was able to pick up some extra draft picks. The second hurt. I feel like if I could have just done that and not included these, I would have been way more happier, but Bankhead didn't want to let it go for cheap, so I had to do what I had to do. Moving on to our next deal between Shani and Osmo, sorry. Shani finally gets rid of those running backs. Le'Veon Bell, Todd Gurley, Osmo has at least one running back if you're able to combine two. And I don't think that's how it works, but if he basically gave himself two bullets. Gurley, we all know, is hobbling on one leg, but he did put up low end running back one, high end running back two numbers even last year with being hampered by the injury. Now it is a degenerative injury, meaning it's only going to get worse over time. I don't know. Is this the year he starts to see the decline? Osmo's taking a risk with that. Le'Veon Bell, his pass catching saved him. Didn't do much in the running game. It'll be interesting seeing if the Jets try to move on from Le'Veon or if they try to get another running back, a younger back. It didn't seem to work well, and Adam Gase is just known for killing fantasy stock. But we'll see if Le'Veon can bounce back after having a year off. And Aaron Rodgers, steady, quarterback one. Osmo gets to basically have more depth at that position. So if something does happen, he'll be covered at quarterback. But Shani, on the other hand, he gets a kind of high profile quarterback here. Not high profile, but I would say up and coming. It's a hot name. Daniel Jones. I think he's going to be a steady quarterback, high end quarterback two, maybe eventually break into that quarterback one market. But he went young here. He got about 11 years in the difference between these two, I think. So he's got some more time. Shani gets his Deontay Johnson, which he is in love with. Possible big breakout wide receiver here. Didn't really hurt Osmo. He had a crap ton of high-end wide receivers. So Deontay Johnson, in Osmo's book, this right now doesn't hurt him, and this is an upgrade for what Osmo's trying to do. This is where Shani kind of hurt him, if you want to say that. Takes the first round pick. All right, so Osmo's going for all in this year. He's taking a second round pick. Takes the second round pick. This is the 2-1, so essentially a late first. It's the 13th overall. He's gonna get somebody that can get another building block potentially, and then some other and another 22nd here in 1-4 that we'll see. I believe he flipped already those two second rounds into something else, and he gets the third round. So he's getting Shani, did what he had to do, gave himself an opportunity to get younger, and gave him 5 different shots on hitting on a player, rather than one with a hampered leg, one that could get phased out, and while a good player is getting older. So overall, the deal helped both. I like it for both sides. I think Osmo kind of did force this deal a little bit just because he needed a running back. Um, Not horrible value, but I think maybe potentially could have gotten, given up a little bit less. Um, so moving on to our third trade, and Shani might be joining us soon, so he can actually break down all these trades that he's been doing. So we've got Shani getting Noah Fant and a 2021st. Now this 2021st is only the 112, so he already had 201, so he only moved up one spot here. So Noah Fant I love. I think he has the potential to break in and be one of those top 5-6 receivers. Drew Lock's going to use him like a security blanket, and I think it's going to be big points. David Njoku, this is a big upside play here. De Beers is taking here. He gave up, I think, the better player, but this is a wild card. Njoku was in the doghouse last year with the Browns coach. That coach is no longer there, and now he's got a chance to start all over. And there's Shawnee. All right, Shawnee, we're on De Beers trade and your trade. Noah Fant.
No fan. Let me check it out.
So, going down to what De Beer got. Let's see. You got a 2020 third. You got a 2020 second. So you got the 2.4. So I gotta say, Shawnee, I didn't love this trade for you. And the overall thing, I would have kept all the picks, especially going young, unless you really, really liked Noah Fant. So essentially, you traded up 5 spots because O. Walters is 2.4 to the 1.12 with Bankhead's pick, and you gave up a couple future seconds there. I don't love it. I mean, do you literally love Noah Fant that much?
I will say that I love the upside, and I think he's gonna break out. It's so hard to catch a young tight end. So my thinking is David Njoku. I heard a lot about him getting traded, and his confidence is down. And I didn't want to play it on my roster like that. And saying that I was moving up to the 1.12, I think that has more value.
You moved up 5 spots.
So that pick in itself, I feel, has more value than the late future seconds that I'll be giving up.
Really? I mean, that's okay. I'm gonna disagree with you on there, but at least you got your strategy. Do you have you don't have to say the player, but do you have a player that you're kind of hoping to get that spot?
Well, the way I looked at it, I know is the receiving group is so deep that it's at least 3 players that even if I didn't want them, somebody would like them at that point.
You're hoping to maybe flip it or get one of those receivers. All right.
Exactly.
All right. Moving on to our next trade. Bankhead and Egask.
Yeah.
So we've got this one. This one was a big one. I should have seen this coming once I traded away Jacobs. Egask was in love with him. I never felt like he was sending me super serious offers. Plus, he knew I valued him highly as well. But Egask gets his man here. Bankhead gets Devontae Adams, Hollywood Brown, and Devin Singletary. I mean, Bankhead's playing with cheat codes at this point, as well as getting a 2020 second. So he not only, these are young quality players. Devontae Adams is, kind of at that peak age. I forget his age, like 26, 27, 28. 27. Yeah. Okay, I knew he was in that range. So He'll be good for a couple more years till, then we'll maybe see the gradual decline or maybe not. But I really like what Bankhead did here with his team. He got a young, high upside wide receiver 1 for his team, even though Mark Andrews is the main target. I like what he did. Devin Singletary, I think, doesn't get enough credit, and he still managed to even squeeze out some more picks.
Yeah, this is where the trade gets lopsided to me, because if you say he gets just Adams, a second, maybe throw in Hollywood, it still looks okay because you get a young stud running back on a rookie contract with the first, the 1.4, which holds, a pretty good value right now because people are targeting people like CeeDee Lamb and Jerry Jeudy. But when you just lose automatically when you trade someone like Devin Singletary right now, because his trade value is at its peak. Like he hasn't done anything significant in the league, but you can see it. Like everybody's projecting him as top 15 running back right now. So
So,
you lose the trade based on value alone.
see, I disagree with you there. I think Adams for Jacobs is almost an even swap. I think Adams is the better overall player at this moment, but Jacobs is so much younger, and so much more potential. So I would
No, no,
say,
no. That's my point. Like I think it got lopsided when you throw in somebody like Devin Singletary
but see, that's where I
because
disagree. I think Singletary and
okay, okay.
Brown equal the 2021st. I think Egas lost it once those extra picks got in there. I think you could maybe throw in the third and the fourth, but the second this year, I think
The
Egas is
second
gonna regret that.
just killed it for me. That's the point. The second, so when I look at Egas roster, I honestly love his roster. So he might feel in his eyes that his roster is set. But the way I look at trades, I don't care. Like if you make a trade for the like Bankhead gave you the 1.1, maybe he gave you a discount. He still loses the trade no matter how great his team may look. I just go trade by trade. You know what I'm saying? I don't look at it like, oh, your roster is still set up. You're good.
I think this was more of an Egas has a plan, a very specific plan, and he was willing to overpay to make that plan happen. I think this is what
Exactly.
it came down to for him.
So this is why, like going back to my last trade, you see what I see and project from Noah Fant. Like because he could be the next like
You're gonna
George
need Noah
Kittle or
Fant to
somebody.
become that Travis
Yeah, like
Kelsey.
I
That's what you need.
like in that ballpark. I even need him to just be what Mark Andrews was last year, but consistently. That's
All
what I need.
All
Yeah.
right, moving on to our next trade, Rhodes and Osmo. This was a depth move. It kind of felt weird even talking about and discussing, but we've got
Yeah,
Danny
yeah.
Amendola, Sammy Watkins, some receivers going over to Rhodes, Tariq Cohen, and a 2025th. Uh, this just felt like a little bit of reactionary to the podcast of pointing out the
Exactly.
weaknesses on the teams. Uh, Danny Amendola and the 2025th are kind of both worthless in my opinion. Um, and so it's really Cohen and Watkins. They both have high. It's both high upside picks.
but
Osmo needed
but
running
the
backs. Go
right.
ahead.
No, yeah, see, that's what I was gonna point out because, like you said, they reacting to what we said on the podcast. But this is why I felt like, even though it's so small of a trade, when you know a person like Ozzy at that point in time needs a running back, it's no reason for you to give him picks on top of anything. Because say that fifth is worthless, but since we play IDP, you never know. That could be like a rookie safety that
That's
went in the
true.
first
That's
round
true.
that somebody overlooked, and then you hit on that pick, and then they return like a 200 plus score IDP. And so see when I look at trades, like again, like it looks like oh he needed depth for receiver, he needed a running back. But remember, going back a year ago, Tyreek Cohen, he could put up 10 plus points for a bye week game. You need that sometimes.
Yeah, I think this was a great depth move for both. Rhodes was hurting a little bit in the receiver department. He likes Watkins, so in his mind, I'm sure
He
he's
doesn't.
loving the trade. Tariq Cohen, if they get behind, which the Bears were, Tariq Cohen was the guy they were going to out of the backfield instead of Montgomery. Now that may
Right.
change, but at least last year Tariq Cohen was getting those PPR points, and we are a PPR league, so I understand the thought process for both.
Yeah, I understand it, but minimal. But I'll just give it to Ozzy on this one.
Moving on to Simply and Egask here, some other names here, and I gotta say I was a little sad Egas didn't hit me up before he did this deal, considering he knew
Yeah.
my love for Preston Williams. David Montgomery and Preston Williams for Chris Carson and a 2020 second. I gotta say, I love what Simply did here. He gets a running back that everybody's down on, in David Montgomery, but he's still a starting running back. And I think Preston Williams is just so undervalued. I think he's gonna, and I'm shooting myself in the foot because I've already approached Simply and trying to make a move for him.
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna happen, but I think Preston Williams is gonna be in that wide receiver two talk. Like he's not gonna bust in the wide receiver one, but he can be that low end wide receiver two, high end wide receiver three. He is going to be startable in
Right.
fantasy.
So I'm kind of torn with this trade because as you can see, that second round pick possibly could add up to Preston Williams. like but it's a back end second. So right then and there, I had him equal. But where Chris Carson is, without injury, he's better than David Montgomery. And I felt like his value, like he could have traded into someone like Ozzy, maybe got a late first. I'm pretty sure he had offers on the table to get much more out of Carson. So I would like to see his thought process
I
on
just
just getting David Montgomery because even though he got the touches last year, he didn't produce as well as we all like.
I really feel like Chris Carson's value is just not there. I mean, they were replacing him last year until Penny got hurt. I could
Right?
see them going running back in the draft. They don't have to get
I
one
could
of the
see that.
top end running backs, but they can get, a back, and I could see Carson losing carries again, and then you're gonna have Penny coming back. So
I just know Ozzy tried, and we all know that Ozzy had to at least attempt to give him something pretty more valuable. Like close to. He basically probably could have got the 2.1 because I got it from Todd Gurley, and everybody's down on Todd Gurley right now.
so you think Simply may have actually lost value here?
Yeah, just because I see his process though, because he is rebuilding just like I am. He wants to get younger, and he's seen the opportunity to get younger and get rid of something that he doesn't value as high.
I mean, I gotta tell you, I love you guys' trades usually. I think Simply won this one in a landslide.
Yeah, but I
I love the
see you
trade.
guys is overpaying. Like he
Oh, he overpaid
out
out the
of all the
ass on this
top
one.
teams, he had the best looking depth on the bench. And I told him after these two trades that, bro, you just gave everything up like that you had that was going for the team. Even though your lineup is still awesome, it doesn't matter. He held so much value on the bench, and I don't think he used it in the right way.
But sensing this, we have another trade where he gets back a second here, trading away his, as he quote unquote put him, dirty little slot,
Oh
Hunter
yes,
Renfro for a 2020 second. As much I have Renfro in one of the other leagues, I gotta
yeah,
say the 2020 second is more value here, and I think
way
he's
more.
gonna get a better receiver than Renfro.
Put it like this, like yeah, like even if he doesn't, like at that point, once again we play IDP. It could have been somebody like Chase Young right there. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's more valuable than because you find guys like Renfro in the fifth round. If we're being realistic, Renfro just looked good at the end of the season, but it wasn't like he was consistently putting it up all throughout the year.
All right, well I'm gonna recap for you. I went over the first trade already, where uh, I made my trade with Bankhead, and I'll give you my reasoning. And the thought process was I needed to control the draft. Bankhead was sending signals he might draft CD Lamb. I'm not even sure I'm going
Mm.
to draft Lamb, but I wanted to at least have the opportunity to. Um, so I wanted to control the first three picks, and now I do. So, it hurt. It really did hurt putting away Jacobs and losing that 2022nd, but I
Mm.
think even getting Slayton, and
Yeah,
I think Bankhead will agree with this. Slayton, I think, is going to be in
he has
that wide receiver 2 or 3 talk right there.
yeah. So for you, I
Yeah.
love it, like because the 1.1 alone is all the value you can get. The only player that I'm trading it straight up for is Saquon Barkley. Put it like that.
Wow.
So,
Not even
well, Patrick
CMC, man.
Mahomes also. Not even CMC right now. I mean,
Oh, oh,
of course. No,
oh,
no, 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 no.
shots
I
fired.
will say no. I said
All
Saquon and CMC.
right.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. Saquon, CMC, and maybe Patrick Mahomes, just because those three players right there, they're like way above and beyond everything else. So I love it for you because like you said, you control the draft, but you have the first three picks.
Yep.
And Darius Slayton, he showed me a lot. I like him just as much as I like Deontay Johnson almost, but Slayton also has a bigger opportunity. Like I think they have the same amount of opportunity because the Giants do have a lot of weapons. Like if healthy, that could take some targets from him. But he's a great young prospect. So I was kind of surprised that he gave him up in this trade.
Well, that was one of the persons I said because we were trying to find a way to make it work. I didn't want to
Right.
go after a stud. I knew he would automatically say
I
no.
got you.
So I had to
Yeah.
pick some. I had to pick a mid tier. So I went with Slayton there. And then we broke down. I already broke down the Aussie and your trade. Um, I feel like you robbed Ozzy a little bit here. He needed the running backs. You got your man in Deontay Johnson. You've got 5 bullets to fire in the future, nothing lower than a third rounder, and you even got a future quarterback. Tons of upside with giving away hobbled players, not producing players, and a superstar in Rodgers, but an aging superstar.
And look at it this way, I seen what I wanted to do, and it also helped me get 1.12 in Noah Fant. So when I did these deals, it was all like within the same day, and I was projecting it that way. Also, I think I did lose a little value because I gave up Walter's second round and that Noah Fant. I wanted to add that on because that could be a high second. But I still love what I did for myself. But I also know when I gave up a little more value than I should have.
Well, that's all of our deals, Shawnee. Just want to do a quick run through episode. We will be back next time breaking down the Savage League. That's next on the topic. So
Oh yeah, that's
start
gonna be
prepping to
good.
break them down.
That's a good league.
All right, man. Go ahead and say your bye. I'm gonna play us out.
All right, everyone. Have a good one. Stay safe. See you next time.
Next time, guys.